Hello, I'm Marcia McMillan. We begin with the devastating wildfires on the island of Maui. The death toll has climbed to at least 96. Hundreds of people are still unaccounted for.
We've been to police station, we called Red Cross, anywhere that we can find them, but nothing, no zero.
In the hardest hit area of Lahaina, cadaver dogs are being used to sniff remains from the ruins left by the fire. A family assistance center has been set up for those searching for their loved ones. Survivors are being asked to provide DNA samples to speed up the identification process. Those allowed to return to Lahaina are describing their stories of escape.
So many things are going through my mind. Cars are panicking. And I have it on video where my son was, in the video, he's like, "Oh, Mom, it's hot. I can feel it." So instantly I'm telling my husband, I need a reverse. I need a reverse. We need to get out and run.
Akanesi Va was in her car with her family when fire started closing in. They ran for safety. At a service for the dead and missing in Lahaina, survivors are leaning on each other for support and vowing to rebuild their community. Let's turn now to CNN's Mike Valerio. He is standing by in Lahaina. Mike, good morning to you. Can you describe what you have been seeing these past few hours and bring us up to speed, please, on the recovery effort?
Sure. Well, good morning. It's good to be with you. 3 a.m. here, Hawaii local time. And to set the scene, Marcia, we're about 300 meters above the Pacific Ocean on a cliff overlooking the sea. This is the only entry point to get into the Lahaina disaster zone. And right now, it is quiet. This is a huge change from the weekend when there were people lining up for kilometers, sleeping in their cars, so eager to get back into not the epicenter of the disaster zone, but the surrounding area to see if their homes survived, to see if their homes had power. So why we say that is to convey that pretty much everybody has been into the safer areas of the disaster zone, and now the center of gravity in terms of our attention turns to finding the missing. There could be hundreds of people who are missing, but what makes it more complicated is that kilometers behind us, cell phone service starts to plummet. So we don't know if the hundreds missing just haven't been pinged on their cell phones. If they've sheltered in place, then they just haven't texted or called anybody because it's difficult to do so. Or if, God forbid, they were in the epicenter of the inferno and there was no saving them. So, as you mentioned, it is going to be slow going. There are specialized teams who have been coming from the mainland, especially California, Washington State, to look underneath collapsed concrete structures within, underneath wooden timber collapsed spaces. And when you're listening to these press conferences, as we have over the weekend, to see elected officials tremble about the thought of human remains just dissipating into dust, of dissolving, disintegrating. That is how delicate the remains are, because temperatures in this inferno exceeded 500 degrees Celsius. That is why the process of finding human remains has to be so slow, deliberate, and delicate. And then the DNA process could be even slower. That is what we are dealing with right here. It has been overwhelming for people who have come through this checkpoint, who have stopped to share their stories. They are just beginning to come to terms with that is going to be the reality for them for months to come.
Mike, that fragile state that you are describing, is that why there was so much confusion getting into Lahaina this weekend? We saw people turned away after, as you're reporting, they sat in their cars for 15 hours. Why was it so difficult for authorities to allow people to get back in to be able to survey the damage? Were they afraid that they would perhaps disrupt what could be human remains and then someone may not be identified? Just trying to wrap our minds around the scenes that we were seeing.
That's exactly right. You have hit the point exactly. That on Friday, when authorities started to let people in, there were residents and perhaps tourists, there were individuals who went past restricted barriers, where there are those delicate remains. On Saturday, after the routes were shut down, they gave it a second try, and there were too many traffic jams with residents clogging the routes for first responders, huge trucks with supplies. Those two groups didn't really mix well. So that stopped things for hours on Saturday. And then towards the later part of Saturday into Sunday, they said this checkpoint that you see in our background, this was going to be for residents only. And then where we spoke with you on the weekend on Saturday, that would be just for heavy trucks, for relief workers. And that helped organize the chaos. People going through this checkpoint only allowed to access the disaster zone in one motion, a counterclockwise motion. So a lot of craziness, a lot of confusion, but that seems to have been abated as we stand here right now, approaching 4 o'clock local time as we begin a new week here.
And last question for you, the power company under scrutiny. There is now a lawsuit underway. Can you fill us in?
It's an interesting development. There's a couple in Lahaina and 3 law firms filing what they hope to be a class action lawsuit. And it goes back to the premise of having no power safety shutoff plan. And what that means, it's pretty self-explanatory. The logic there is simple, that especially in California, also in Canada, plans like this exist. When there are high winds, utilities more and more often, as our climate changes, are shutting off utility wires, because if you have poles that are being knocked over in high winds and they're energized and the lines snap, you're going to have sparks potentially igniting dry brush in a drought environment. So what these residents are asserting, they are saying that the Hawaiian Electric Utility should have known that hurricane force winds would be bearing down on the infrastructure. And why not, out of an abundance of caution, shut off those power wires? The company has come back to our team over the weekend and said, well, that is simply easier said than done. If we were to shut off the lines, we, as the power company, would need to speak to all of these fire stations. What if people have electric medical equipment that needs power? So there is a lot of controversy involved in that lawsuit, but it boils down to seeking accountability here.
CNN's Mike Valerio for us near Lahaina this morning. Mike, thank you for all that reporting. Appreciate it.